And just like that, July is over and August is already here. So it is time to do my monthly series of my Shop My Stash, which is a great way of kind of giving you little mini reviews of everything that I use beauty-wise throughout the month, and then we rotate into something new. So if that's something you want to watch, then stick around. Jumping in, we always start with skincare. So I knew I'd finish it one day. So I actually did finish this Versed Dew Point Moisturizing Gel Cream. I really did enjoy this. This was a nice kind of a lightweight gel product that sunk into the skin pretty quickly. This was my morning moisturizer before makeup, and I didn't notice any like disruption to the makeup because it did soak in so quickly. I do have combo oily skin, so just with all of these products, take that with a grain of salt of my skin type as well. So since this one is all done, I actually have already started using this new one. This is from Medicube. I have never tried this brand before, but I hear it's pretty good. So this is the collagen jelly cream, and it does come in this kind of, if I can get it off, it's all suction cupped on there now. It is this kind of like pink little jelly. I've used it the past few days. It is pretty nice. It does take a little while to soak into the skin compared to like something like this, but I think it's worth it. It does a really nice job of providing moisture without being greasy. It also kind of has this like jelly sticky property to it, very similar to like Milk Hydro Grip primer, if you're familiar, or the e.l.f. Dupe of that primer. So this is kind of nice. It's a moisturizer, but also a primer at the same time. So I have been using that. And then as far as my nighttime skincare routine, it has not changed. Ooh, this is quite oily. Let me wipe that off. It hasn't changed. Still kind of going between this Guerlain Biel Royale, this Youth Watery Oil Serum. This is still nice. That's really all I have to say about it. It's like nice. I think it does a pretty good job of providing some hydration and moisture, more hydration compared to moisture to the skin. I wear it at night because it does take a while to soak in, so I use the whole nighttime to do its thing. It has a very strong florally scent. And why I say it's just okay, like, I mean, it is nice. It's a nice product, but this retails for $150. So I just don't think it does $150 worth of skincare properties, in my opinion. I was gifted this in order to review it, and that was my review on it. So I definitely would not spend $150 on that. The other product that I'm going between is the Pharmacy Honey Milk Hydrating Essence with Chamomile Ceramides. This is kind of like a lightweight, almost like toner, moisturizer combination. This too is pretty nice. It's, what would I say? It still is not something, well, you know what? If I had to use this in the morning, I think this would be okay. It does eventually soak into the skin. I think the jellies soak in a little bit quicker on me, especially with combo oily skin. But if you give this a little bit more time, I think it does its job. And it's a really nice moisturizing property and has a decent scent to it with the kind of the honey milk combination compared to this very fake fragrant floral smell. Something I'm still working through. Oh my gosh. You would think that I would go through these a lot quicker, but I feel like it's taking forever. These are the Nasaif MD Dermaceuticals Detox Pads. So they have AHA, BHA in them, which is just like an exfoliant. So I use these on my face every few nights, as well as like my chest and my back and stuff like that to kind of clear up any sort of oils and help with exfoliation. So we'll continue to use that. And then we will continue to use the Milani Make It Last Original Setting Spray. I really do enjoy this and do think it helps elongate my wear of my makeup. And then one product that keeps coming in and out, but I am determined to finish it, is the Dr. Jart Ceraminian Skin Barrier Moisturizing Eye Cream. It keeps going in and out of this Shop My Stash, but it's back in, and I even had to poke a hole in the bottom of it just to like see the bottom, so I knew how long it was going to take. So I'm very determined that I'm going to be using this every night. This is not something I would wear, like I'd put on right before you put makeup on, because I think it is a little bit more of a thicker cream and it needs more time to kind of just like soak into the skin. So this is definitely a nighttime type of moisturizer. I've also been putting it on like my smile lines because I do have some dermatitis there that seems to be acting up. It's acting a fool a bit at this moment, so it's kind of dry and cracky in those areas. So I've been using that to help strengthen the skin barrier there as well. So that is everything with skincare. Now let's hop into the makeup. Okay, so first starting with our complexion products, we have our foundation and concealers and powders. So the two foundations that I was using was the Jane Iredale Skin Tuition SPF Radiance Boosting Liquid Foundation. I do have mine in the shade 20 Light. I really do like this foundation. I think it's a very nice kind of light to medium, you know, somewhere in the range where it's a little bit buildable. Definitely more on the satin side of stuff. I do need to powder this down if I'm gonna have any sort of longevity with it, but I really do enjoy it. The color, I am fair with neutral cooling undertones. This is more on the more neutral side of things and can be like a little like a hair yellow for me, and just maybe a hair too deep, but it does work out, especially when I mixed it with a little bit of a lighter foundation and it gave a really beautiful finish. So really did enjoy that, and I think it was really nice for kind of the summer months. And then the other one that I was using was the Urban Decay Stay Naked Hydromaniac Tinted Glow Hydrator. This one is in the shade 20 Fair. So like I said, I did mix the two together and it kind of created my perfect shade. This is really nice, kind of lightweight, light coverage type of product. It's really beautiful on its own too, with a slight little glow to it, with some coverage, like I said, kind of light coverage. So this is really nice on its own too. And then as far as concealer, I was using the Slip Tint Concealer in the shade 2. Wow, we have 2022. Okay. Apparently I'm in a shade range. So this is kind of, I think, like a little bit on the peachier side of colors, but it did work pretty well for me. This is more of a, I would say, medium coverage finish. Definitely not matte, maybe a little bit more on the satin side of stuff. Maybe more of a natural matte kind of finish to it. And like I've said before, concealers are just going to crease on me. That's just kind of the natural way my eye shape is underneath my eyes. But I did learn a new way that has been helpful for me. So before, I would just kind of dot this on, and then with my beauty sponge, I would just kind of pat it out and, you know, set it in its place. And I did notice a lot more creasing that way. But when I put this on now, I give it like a few, probably like 30 seconds to set itself. And then I pat it out with a brush, and then I do my beauty sponge. And that actually has been really helpful in like reducing the creasing on it. I don't really know why. Maybe it just makes it like slightly of a thinner texture to it. I don't know. But it's been working, so I'm excited to see if it continues to work with like maybe another concealer, and just to, you know, if that's more of the technique in it or the concealer side of it. But I really did like this one as well. And like I said, the color was a little like a hair peachy for me, but it worked. And then as far as powders, I originally thought this is the Tarte Creaseless Setting Powder in pink. I thought I was actually going to use this more for like a under eye powder, but I noticed it's kind of matte and very pink when you put it underneath the eye, like in just a very concentrated type of area. It seemed to overpower a little bit, but I opted to use it like as an all over face powder, almost like as a color corrector, you know, because these two things over here were, you know, just like a hair yellow. So adding a little pink coolness to it really seemed to help even things out. And again, kind of those mattifying, like slightly mattifying properties really helped the longevity of those two products too. So I was excited to be able to get a different use out of this than I originally intended, because when I was strictly using it underneath the eyes, it was just too concentrated and too pink. And I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna, like, I was thinking about decluttering it, but once I found a new use for it, it seemed to really work out. I mean, we can see, half of it is gone. So that is very nice. And then the other powder I was using was the Lunar Beauty Universal Setting Powder in Translucent. This is a very nice powder as well. I like how they have like little puffs with them. I don't really use the puffs, but sometimes they're nice in a pinch, and that both of them have these closures to it. This one has like a slight smell to it, like a nice smell. Nothing too overpowering, just like a very subtle type of smell, and I couldn't even tell you what that smell is. It kind of smells just clean, but really did like this powder as well, and you know, we'll continue to keep it in my collection probably come declutter time. I'll have to go run through all of these videos and remember what I said. I actually started an Excel sheet of all the products in my Shop My Stash where I said, yes, I want to, you know, this is good or this is bad. And I got about 2 months into it and then I stopped doing it, and that's pretty typical. All right, so now let's move on to blush, bronzers, and highlighters. All right, so we will do them in the order of how I apply the products. So the first one I was using was the Give Beauty Pick It Up Cream Contour and Powder Bronzer Duo in Heatin' Up. This is their lightest shade, I believe. And with Give Beauty, everything at the Sephora website is discounted. So I don't know if like Give Beauty is no longer a brand or if they're rebranding or doing something like that. But I have enjoyed the products that I've used from them. So this is the cream side of stuff, and then the powder. Both of them are beautiful. I did say in my last month's video, which I will link on the screen for you, I was afraid that this one was going to be a little bit too light for my skin at this time of year, but you know what, it worked out just fine, especially when this is just a little bit deeper and I kind of use this as like a setting powder, setting shade for it. Really do like this, so I'm curious to know what is going on with this brand. And then the next bronzer I used is the NYX Buttermelt Bronzer in Buttercup, which again is the lightest shade. And what I really like about this one is it kind of has a little bit of a rosy tone to it. You might not be able to see it in this lighting, but it's a little bit rosy, a little bit like sheeniness to it. It can be quite pigmented, so just be cautious on that. And it has a really nice like coconut smell to it as well. So I really like this one. The pan is, you know, it's like kind of an interesting shape and whatnot, but I like it. I haven't tried any of the blushes in this Buttermelt collection. I just like haven't found any that I thought like I really liked the colors. So let me know, do you have the blush? Do you like it? What colors do you like? Speaking of blush, probably arguably my most favorite makeup step in my process thus far, evidenced by all of my blush haul videos. I can link my latest one for you, and I fear another blush haul is coming. So comment down below if you're interested to seeing yet another blush haul. It's probably coming. So just stay tuned. I don't know why, but as of recently, I have been ranking my blushes just because it's a little bit fun. So what I would put on the bottom is, I'd probably put this Milani one. This is the Milani Berry More Baked Powdered Blush. And I say I put it on the bottom because I feel like I've been getting catfished recently with things on like swatches online or promo photos and stuff like that. This one to me was supposed to be a little bit more on the mauve-y side of things. Maybe I can put like the picture on the side over here with a little bit of a comparison. I don't know, and my brain could be fooling me because I remember looking at the promo photo a really long time ago. So if they really aren't any different, then that's my bad. But I do remember this supposed to be like a little bit more mauve-y, and it's not mauve-y. It's still really pretty, and it still kind of gives me that like sun-kissed look that I've been looking for. It just wasn't what I was expecting, and it's definitely not as pigmented as I like originally thought it was going to be. Usually baked blushes are a little bit more pigmented in my opinion. So it was just kind of a shock that this one wasn't, but it's still really pretty. It just wasn't what I was expecting. So we have that one. And then what do I want to pick as my next one? because they were all really good outside of, they were all good, but that one was definitely the most notable of the one I had issues with. Let's go with this one. So this one is the M Cosmetics Heaven Glow Blush in Venetian Rose. So this is kind of like a blush highlighter combination. This one is what I thought this one was going to be, like a little bit more in that type of shade. This too wasn't as pigmented as I initially thought it was going to be, but I kind of used it as like a blush topper with adding a little bit more dimension to some of the other blushes, setting some of the cream blushes and stuff like that. It was really beautiful. I'm glad I have it. I have the other color in Baroque as well, which I featured last month, and I think I said the same thing. It just wasn't as pigmented as I thought it was going to be. So this one is kind of more of a slow build to get there, but it is a really pretty color, and I do like the kind of the sheeniness, luminosity of it all. I just wish it wasn't this big bulky packaging, but I just don't like that. The next one is one that I've had for quite some time. This is from Persona in Caramel. This is their super blush. And this is what it looks like. Again, I have a type with the kind of this sun-kissed mauve type of look. This one's really pretty because it also has kind of this soft sheen to it. It's definitely not a flat matte type of blush. Really pretty, and this is the type of compact that I'm looking for. Like, maybe it'd be nice if it was a little bit fancier, but this is like the thinness that I'm looking for compared to this huge giant one. Especially with all the blushes that I have in my life now, I need them to be as compact as possible. The next one is going to be the Huda Beauty blush filter in Latte. This one, so beautiful, and it actually has a really nice kind of like fruity candy smell to it. This is a really, really pretty color. I do caution, this is one of those blushes that you're going to want to work one side before applying it to the other side. Like put the dots that you're going to put on, buff them out, blend them out, do all that sort of stuff, and then go to the other side, because I just don't think it has a lot of playing time with it before it starts drying down. What's interesting though about this one, I thought it was, because it's very pigmented to begin with, but then when I kind of sit with myself while I'm still finishing my makeup and I kind of look at the end, I feel like I could use another layer of it. So it must just kind of like blend in and blend out and kind of sink in. So I never actually did 2 layers of it because I always was kind of working on a combination of blushes, but I think you could layer it up and it looked really nice, just a little bit of that deeper color. But even 1 layer was really pretty, but I have been very blush heavy as of lately. So I probably could have used 2 layers and it would have looked just as beautiful. And then my favorite blush of them all for this month was from Westman Atelier. This is their Baby Cheeks Blush Stick in Garçon. This one was picked up during my most recent Sephora haul, which was, back in April now. I can link on the screen for you. You can see that whole haul. I did say in that video that although the packaging, gorgeous, it just is so bulky for this particular type of product. Like, you're not getting a lot of product in it. But this is such a beautiful color. It is such a beautiful formula. You can apply straight to your cheeks, no problem. Blend it out. This is one where you could dot it all over your face and then blend it out. It definitely has some more give time to it. And the color is just so beautiful. Like, this actually, I started using this on my eyes too, because and you'll see coming up in the eyeshadows next, the eyeshadows that I picked for this month, they all leaned a little bit on, I don't know, the warm side. Like, the blushes and the eyeshadows just didn't really match how I wanted them to. So I wanted more of this monochromatic type of look. And so I actually would use this as like, I'd kind of mix all of these blushes together. I'd top it with this, and then I'd actually put this on my eyes as well for a nice like little flush of color that just really mixed in with the blush. And it just like, it was seamless, like it wasn't a stark difference between an eye look and a blush look. It all just like melded together, and it was so pretty. Because this is creamy and I have super oily eyelids, I did use like that Tarte Tarte powder on my eyes to kind of like set my eyes, and then I would use this blush, and then I'd use a little bit more of the Tarte powder to kind of set the blush as well eyeshadow at that point, and then I do a really pretty like brown wing liner with some of the eyeshadows that you'll be seeing. So it was such a pretty look, and let me tell you how much I loved that look, because I wore it multiple times. When I'm not wearing makeup for a lot of the month because I was on vacation, like I forgot to mention that I was on vacation for like 2 weeks this month and barely wore any makeup. So when I did wear makeup and I would repeat a look, you knew it was my favorite. So definitely a fun one. All right, and then as far as highlighters, I was using the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light Wand in Spotlight. This is just a really nice kind of champagne poofy ball type of thing. I think this has remained closed the whole time, and I've just been using the excess in the poof ball. I don't know if that's very sanitary or not, like since it doesn't dry out, but it's what I've been doing. I heard you can take the puff ball off too. I just haven't. This is very old in my collection, but it's very nice. Like I would top it so in the typical highlighter spots, and then like if on top of my cheekbone, I would kind of like push that a little bit over like the apples of my cheek too, so it kind of gave an even more glowy type of look. So I would put the highlighter on, buff it out, and then I'd actually use my blush brush again over the apples of my cheeks, so it kind of like turned this champagne-y highlighter into whatever tone that I was using, and it looked really pretty. Now on to eyeshadows. All right, so on to eyes. We start with our eyebrows. Morphe Brow Tease, a fiber-infused volumizing mousse, and I have mine in the shade Latte, which is pretty deep brown. I have been trying to find something that I love just as much as my Kosas Airbrow, and this is close. The only thing that really detracts me from this is the brush. Like the brush is just huge for the eyebrow area. Like it and I don't understand this kind of like figure 8 type of shape for it. It's huge. The formula of it is pretty nice. It can be a little bit thick, so when you put it on, you might want to like scrape some of it off so it's not so thick. That is a little fiber in there, so it's not so thick and can kind of clump up in certain areas. But I have been enjoying this. Does it replace my Kosas Airbrow? It's close, but it's not the same. And then as far as mascara, I have really been liking this Kulfi, Batty Lash Mascara. So this is actually a tubing mascara, and I don't think I've worn a tubing mascara in quite some time. And that is because I just not that I was fearful of it, but it just seemed like tubing mascaras were just such a mess to get off. And they kind of are. Don't get me wrong. When I take my makeup off, I'm still going to find some sort of mascara remnants left on my face in the morning, but it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It does come off with I do a double cleanse. So the first cleanse is kind of this oil-based one, and then some warm water. It gets most of it off, but there's still going to be some sort of remnants. But this is one that I talked about in my beauty chores that I've been avoiding, that I can link on the screen for you if you want to watch that. When I went to Disney, that was part of the vacations I was talking about. So we were at Disney all day long, 2 days. This mascara, no problem. Stayed on, no problem. No smudging, flaking, nothing like that. It was really nice. And I do have hooded eyes, so I appreciate a small wand like this with small bristles. Really, really, really beautiful. I typically like more of a volumizing mascara, and I think this does a good job of providing length and some volume. Would I prefer more volume from it? Yes, but I really like the way that my lashes look. They still look natural. How do I want to word it? They're not spidery or anything like that. They don't look fake whatsoever, but they look naturally enhanced. And that's what I like. I don't like my lashes to look like super fake or anything like that, because they're not. Moving on to eyeshadows. So I was using this Tom Ford cream color for eyes in platinum. I actually realized when I was going to link these products, which I will link all of the products down below if you're interested in shopping them. They are affiliated links, so I truly appreciate it if you shop through them because I earn a very small commission if you do. When I went to go link this one, I realized I'd already used it this year. Whoops. Most of my organization for my other products, I'm pretty spot on of knowing what I have and what I haven't used, but my eyeshadows, there is no way for me to, like, I don't have the space to indicate like, hey, I've used this palette before or not. And you'll see when we put this back. But this is a really beautiful cream shadow. It's kind of this nice like taupey color. I don't think the light is potentially giving it the best look, but it's a really pretty color, and it doesn't, it stays for a while. Eventually it will crease. Just again, I have very greasy eyelids, and if I don't set my eyelids, it will crease, but if I set them beforehand, before I put this on, it lasts for a pretty long time. And then we were using the Melt Bride of Frankenstein palette. This was their holiday release from last year. And we kind of have these more taupey colors over here. We have these brown shimmer colors, and then we have these green colors here. Unfortunately, I didn't use any of the green colors. I think the colors are really beautiful. I just didn't, not that I wasn't inspired, I just didn't have anywhere I wanted to wear those to. Yes, could you wear green to work? Of course you could. I just, with those colors, I have to think a little bit more of what I'm going to do compared to like just a neutral go look that I just slap on and go. So the colors are really beautiful. I just didn't get around to using them. So yeah, this is a really pretty palette, and this is the really nice Melt formula. Some of their formulas isn't so great, but this one is a pretty nice one. Then the other one that I like lastly put this in my Shop My Stash because I felt like I needed another eyeshadow palette for some reason. This is the Viseart Mix In It Entendu palette. And this is kind of more of their peachy nude type of palette. This one, again, it was really pretty. I do like the quality of it. I just didn't feel like any of it really vibed well with the blush looks that I was looking for, and blush has really been kind of more of my main focus. So I did use this shade a lot as eyeliner, same as like the matte shade in the Bride of Frankenstein one. Use that as eyeshadow, like wing liner. That was really pretty. Yeah, I just haven't really been into like super peachy looks lately, and especially just didn't jive with the blush as well. So then I had the Natasha Denona I Need a Warm palette, and this one definitely leans a little bit more on the neutral side compared to the Viseart one, but again, still didn't really mesh well with what I was trying to do. So some of these were just more eyeliner shades, and then topped with a very light-handed shimmer and stuff like that. So not my best on the eyeshadow picking, but also it just hasn't been my like main focus as of lately, and that's okay. Eyeshadow used to be like my main focus, and now it's not. So that actually might change the way that I pick my makeup, because usually I start with my eyeshadows and I go from there, but I think I'm going to start with my blush because my blush is what is the main focus. So now let's put things away and we'll pick out new products. All right, we are constantly playing with angles on this channel, so I'm trying to figure out another way so you can better see like when I'm putting stuff away and seeing the kind of the full collection. So let's start with putting my blush away, since that's going to be the one that we're going to focus most on. So we will, let's put those right here before they slip out of my hand. So this is how I kind of organize all of my makeup in these like clear bins. It is not the most stable in the sense, like it's stable, but there's still lots of wobble to it. I don't think it's gonna fall over, but you never know. It might one day. I hope it doesn't. That would suck. So how I organize it is that this drawer right here is my drugstore kind of indie store blushes and all of my bronzers. So how I was talking about how I organize things is the products that I've used the month prior, I put in these back slots. So I know that everything moving forward is something that I have not used yet. So let's put those away first, and then we'll start picking stuff out. So then That one always has a terrible sound to it. Here is my higher end blushes. So we will put those where they go. All right, so let's, oh, see, I told you, she wobbly, but you know, she's living her best life, as she's doing her best, aren't we all? She's doing her best. All right, so let's pick out some drugstore blushes first. So I have been absolutely dying to, you can't even see this. Hold on, I gotta figure out where to put these so you can see. I've been absolutely dying to try this Ulta Beauty Collection Flushed Blush in Sweet as Honey. So this one has slight sheen to it, like it's definitely not a flat matte, but it's not like, I wouldn't say shiny or anything like that. A little bit of luminosity, I think, like just a hint of sheen. So I want to use that one. And then there's another one I've been wanting to try. Which one is it? I mean, I want to try them all. Let's be honest. I want to, ooh, here. This one is from here we go again. There we go. Nev Cosmetics. This is another beautiful blush. This one is kind of sheeny and luminous to it. This is in the shade Passion Fruit. This actually is an indie brand from, is it Colombia? I think it might be from Colombia. Is it from Colombia or Russia? I can't quite remember. But it's not from America. And I saw this on Pinterest and I just like had to have it. So I like searched everywhere where I could find it in the US and I found it. So I'm super excited to try that. So we have those two and we're probably gonna pick out another one too. From my drugstore. We're still gonna pick out some high-end ones too because I can't help myself. So we have these new putty blushes from e.l.f. We have this new Milani one. This one, hold on. These are all new if you couldn't tell. Let's try, okay, because those two are gonna be more on the nude side of stuff. So maybe this really pretty kind of like berry mauve-y e.l.f. Sparkling Rose could be nice. So let's use that one too. Okay. Then we will go into our high-end ones and let's see. If I did, these are probably going to come in that third video because I have been accumulating a little bit more, but I did end up getting some from Rhode. I think I talked about that in my second one as well. I did get some from Rhode. I got Tan Lines, which is their newest shade, and then Toasted Teddy. I think I'm going to just quickly kind of show you what they look like. I think I'm going to pick Tan Lines. Am I? Or Toasted Teddy? I might pick Toasted Teddy because Tan Lines might be pretty similar to the other ones. I mean, let's be real. They're all going to be super similar to each other. So this one's a little bit more on the brownie side. So actually, let's pick Toasted Teddy. I think that would work well. Okay, so we're going to do that. And then I've been dying to try one of my nude stick ones. I think I'm going to do it in the shade Bareback. Let's see. Yeah, I think this one would be really pretty. Bareback. Okay, so I'm gonna keep those in their new packaging for now until I use them. So now we have our blush set. Let's close this gently. And we'll put all of our blushes away. We have our nude sticks. So we definitely have a variety of types and prices, not necessarily color, but that's okay. All right, so we have our blushes right there. So now let's move on to bronzers, which is gonna be in that same drawer as before. Let's see. So I kind of want to pick out like a glowy type of bronzer and then a matte type of bronzer. So let's look at my glowy bronzers first. So we have the Jouer Menage a Trois Butter Bronzer Blush and Highlighter in Ce Soir. So that's what that looks like. And then we have the Ilia Sunshift Cream Bronzer in Eclipse. Definitely more on the glowy side. Let's do the Ilia one. So we'll do that. And then this bronzer has a broken cap to it, the Laura Geller one. I've had that one forever. Probably needs to be retired at this point. But as far as a powder bronzer, I think maybe the House Labs one would work well. This is the Power Sculpt Velvet Bronzer. I think those two would look really nice. And then as far as highlighters and powders, see if I can bring it down a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay. Okay, so let's put that highlighter away. I know I talked about this last month, but I think I'm going to put in the Natasha Denona Golden highlighter because this also kind of has some like bronzy tones to it that could be like a bronzer topper. So I'm going to do that. And then we have powders over here. So let me put the powders that I used away. And then the powders that we have left, let's do, just gonna do the two that we have on top. So I always like to have one kind of for my under eye. This one's a little bit more on the pearlescent type of luminosity side of stuff. This is the Givenchy Prism Libre powder before it got reformulated. So I know the reformulated one I think has a lot of luminosity to it, if I'm not mistaken. This one does not have that much, but it does add like a little bit of, I don't know, pearlescent type of look to it. So this was in Satin Blanc or Satine Blanc. And then for my all over face powder, I'm going to use the Melt Frankenstein powder in She's Alive, or their translucent loose powder. I think they might have rebranded this powder as of recently, so it doesn't have like the Frankenstein stuff on it, but I don't know if it's still called She's Alive. But we're gonna use those two. So let's put those bad boys away. We have our highlighter, our bronzers. Now we are moving on to our foundations and concealers. If the angle changed, it's because it did, because I just kicked what the camera is standing on, which is the cat tree, for if you're curious. Okay, so let's put our concealers away and then our foundations away. So I think for concealers, I'm going to use the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Concealer in 3.75. And then as far as foundations, I think, what was it? Do I want to use this one? This one might be a little dark for me. This is the, we'll see. This is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Perfect Glow Flawless Foundation in shade 5. I actually did pick this up in a lighter shade and have used it earlier in the year, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, it's an expensive foundation, so I want to make sure I get the use out of it. And then we're going to use the Fenty Beauty Ease Drop in shade 2. And then I just got this in a subscription box, which I can link in my playlist if you are ever interested to know what I get in subscription boxes. This is the LYS Beauty Triple Fix Serum Skin Tint Stick in shade LN3. So I think those will be good for foundations. And here is where I store all of my eyeshadows. So here's like the little smaller eyeshadow palettes. Let's see. So as far as like smaller eyeshadows, I definitely want to use this Naba Cosmetics one. This is more of a shade topper type of look, so I think that one would be really nice. And then I want to use my shadow stick Sigma eyeshadow base primer in Earthen. Whenever this company pops up on Instagram and they're always doing their eyeshadow looks, it always looks like they kind of have a base, like a very light taupey base down, and makes these really pop. So I wanted to try that out. I also want to try out the REM Beauty Midnight Shadows Liquid Eyeshadow in Fembot. So again, kind of more of a topper type of shade. So let's put those right here. And then, is there anything else in this drawer that I want? I always like my nude shades, but is this one gonna be too dark? This might be really nice. I don't think they make this palette anymore. This is by ColourPop. This is Grandeur palette. I don't think they make this one anymore, but it is kind of this nice, like, warmy, neutral type of look. And then I think that's everything that I want to use in there. Now let's go to my bigger drawer down here where all my bigger palettes are. So all my Natasha Denonas get shoved right in there. I think I want the bronzy palette. Do I need a nude? No, I don't want that one either. Maybe something a little bit fun. I usually use this palette around this time. The Yucca palette, that could be really fun. Add a little pop of color to things. And let's pick one more because we can, you know? Because we can. Even though, how many times do I say that I don't use eyeshadows all that much, but here we are picking out another eyeshadow palette. You know what, let's use this one. We haven't used this one in a while. The Anastasia, what is this one? The Nouveau palette. I think that one might be nice. So let's put these all away. All right, so let's put these palettes away. And I was thinking, I was like, did I actually pick any palettes based off the blush like I said I was going to? Probably not, but that's okay. So we have the Yucca palette, the Nouveau palette, ColourPop Grandeur, this new Nava, the Sigma base, and then the REM Beauty one. Let me swing you around so you can see everything that I'm going to be using for the month. So this is it, full face for August. Very excited. Of course, the blushes are going to be my most favorite part of my routine. You gotta have something, right? It used to be eyeshadows. I think at a time it was bronzers. Now it is blushes, and I'm sure it will move on to something else in the future. But this is it. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know down below if you're doing a Shop by Stash. What products are you using, or what products have you used any of these products before? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Let me know all the things. And with that, I'll see you in my next one. Bye.